Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Raising Vibrations Radio. I'm your host, Reverend Raven, and tonight we have a special guest. She's a master herbalist and an expert in essential oils, and she is going to help us with our health issues tonight. And her name is Jennifer Gilman. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Reverend Raven. It's great to be on tonight.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on. I think you're just amazing. Your energy is just awesome. I've met you personally a couple of times. I actually purchased herbs from you, remember?
Yes, that's right. I love it. Plant medicine. We need more people to have some plant medicine in their life.
Yes. Yes. I love that. But, tonight, though, we're going to be talking about essential oils.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
my passion.
Your passion. So tell us a little bit about you and what got you started on this journey of creating your own health through naturopathic ways.
Yes, my whole life really was brought up in conventional medicine, so I had no idea that plants could actually do the things they do. It was just, we went to the doctor, whatever the doctor said, we did. Which was all fine in general, except that I was not very well. I've always had a problem with my immune system, so I know a lot of people can identify with this, that I was that person every time I went out in crowds or got in an airplane. By the time I landed, I was starting to feel the scratchy throat, swollen glands, just really started to not feel very well. And that would happen all the time for me. And as I went off to college, it got worse, of course, because you're not really taking care of yourself in college.
Right.
So, you're studying long days, out late at night and everything. So it actually really got worse. And it was in my mid-20s that I just got fed up because I had been on, each time I'd go to the doctor, they'd prescribe something and, sometimes I'd need 2-3 rounds of something, and it just wasn't working for me. So I started in my mid-20s to learn about nutrition and exercise and learning how to be well, because I was just sick of being sick, and I know a lot of people can identify with that. So I started doing a little bit of that, and I began learning terms that I had never heard of, like probiotics.
Right.
And how important your gut health was. And I'd never heard of all this stuff. Nobody ever told me about it, and I don't understand why, and learning about different foods and all of that. And, fast forward here, now I'll be 48 actually, coming up very soon. And it was through about 10 years of nutrition, exercise, and then getting into herbs and learning about herbs that I started to get really well. But it wasn't until I started using the essential oils that I finally figured it out for myself. I finally had solutions for my own health, and I knew exactly what to do to prepare for a trip or preparing to go out into crowds, which oils to use, how to use them. And now I can't even tell you the last time that I was feeling that way, I've got it down now. So really it was the essential oils for me that made a huge difference in my life. But, of course, lifestyle changes as well along the way.
So when you first got into this and stuff, you started studying nutrition and exercise, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until your 40s that you decided to do the herb thing first?
Yeah, so it was a long path of nutrition and having little successes here and there, but it just wasn't enough for my body at least. And it was when I started using plant medicines and herbs, and I began with using different herbal tinctures and teas. Would have little minor, successes here and there, but it really was the essential oils and the power of them of really becoming well. And now it's not just that, it's gone beyond knowing what I need to do to stay well for my immune system. I've actually been able to strengthen my immune system now. So I really noticed that I could push myself and have a very hectic schedule and be around a lot of people. And as long as I'm using my essential oils, eating well, exercising and giving myself some time for myself too, then I will absolutely stay well. It's not an issue at all for me anymore. So it's been tremendous. And I started working with people through the Herbal Cabinet. That's my company. I think it's been about 5 years now that my company has been around, and the essential oils, 3 years of that. So just really enjoy it.
So when people get into essential oils and stuff, what is one of the first things you tell them that they must, that is really essential for them to get involved with doing the oils?
I really stress to have a good quality oil, because the one thing I'll tell you, I had been researching essential oils and realizing there was a demand as well for my business. And people were asking me why I wasn't, having them for sale and how to use and all. So I realized I needed to learn more about them, and I actually needed to have stock and inventory of them. Mm-hmm. So I was going to be going to the American Herbalist Guild Symposium, because I'm part of that, and go annually to that for further education. And my mission was to learn more about the oils. And one of the sessions I attended was by someone, her name is Mindy Green. She's very well known, and she teaches a lot about the oils. And then I had visited with, some of the companies that were there, and that really started looking into oils. So when I meet with somebody, I don't take it lightly that there's a lot of companies out there, and you do need to be careful with what you're purchasing. There's a lot of adulteration, and that was kind of frightening to me. I did not realize that until I looked into it. So often there's some people who come to me and say they had a problem with a particular oil. Well, it might not be the oil itself they had a problem with. Maybe it was adulterated with a carrier oil or just diluted. It could have been diluted with a nut oil, and maybe they're allergic to that nut oil, or
right.
Maybe it was diluted with coconut oil and there's an allergy to coconut oil. So you have to know what you're purchasing. So that is something I really, kind of drive home is like, what are you purchasing? Let's make sure that you know what's out there, and then you can do your research and decide what's right for you. And then the safety of it. So I know it sounds kind of boring in the beginning for me to say that of no adulteration and the safety, but it's that important, because I have come across so many people that have had some not very good stories with them because of not really a great product or using it at a strength that should never have been. I had someone tell me one time they put an entire half-ounce bottle of essential oil in their bathtub. And I gasped, because that is just, you would normally only put 6 drops in an entire bathtub.
Right.
So that is just, I was surprised she didn't burn her skin or something else happened, but she wasn't advised. So that's hard. You need to work with somebody. So anybody purchasing, make sure you get a good quality, pure, unadulterated oil, and then make sure you're getting educated by the person you purchased it from, where there's a lot of books out there. One of my favorite books, actually, for just everybody and anybody is by Valerie Ann Warwood. It's Worwood, Valerie Ann Warwood. And the name of it's called The Complete Book of Essential Oils and Aromatherapy. This is a really good book. It's often a textbook for aromatherapists that are certified as well, but I feel like it's a good read for just about anybody. It's not, real sciencey, but gives a lot of safety in here, and that's one of the reasons I like it, is because it will address different health concerns, but also takes safety very much into account. Because like I said, when you're working with something so pure and potent like this and not knowing what to do, can be harmful. So you would never want to put it inside, in your nose or in your ears, in your eyes, nothing like that. And, to you may sound be like, well, of course I'm not going to do that. But I have heard stories. People have said to me, they tipped the side of their head and they literally dropped essential oil in their ear because they did not know. And then before you know it, they're in the emergency room because that oil is 50 to 70 times more potent than the plant itself.
Wow.
The safety is really that important. You wouldn't just go dripping oils inside your nose and inside your ears. So,
but you can ingest some of the oils, right?
Yep. Now there's some, and this is Christopher Hobbs. He's a fourth-generational herbalist, and he was funny. A few years ago, I heard him speak, and he's going on, and he said, now, I know there's a ton of brands out there and all, but, basically, whatever brand you want to go with, make sure it's pure, make sure it's potent and non-adulterated, and then, yes, you can ingest it. So I love that he said that as well, because there's a lot of controversy out there about ingesting oils. And you can see why when I tell you about the adulteration. Well, those ones that are adulterated and you don't know what's in them,
right.
In my opinion, I would not use those internally. Most oils will actually say on the back of the bottle, not, that it's for external use only. There's a brand that I use, and it actually, many of them have the supplement fact panel on them, and that's safe for internal use. So that's just something, take a look at the backs of the bottle. If it says external use only, well, that's exactly what you should do then, So.
I got you. Now, I talked to you once before about another, not your brand of oil, but one that I'm familiar with, where the guy created the company because he had severed his spinal cord, and he created an oil to heal his body.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
And stuff like that. Those stories are true out there. You have them with your company too, as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. I love, and I'm actually certified in a technique called the Aroma Touch technique, and it's basically a way of applying certain oils in a certain order along the spine from sacrum to crown of head. And I love that because feeding the spinal cord, then you're feeding the nervous system. And if your nervous system is working well, then I believe, like Hippocrates believed, is the body can heal itself,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are very much on board with that. And I love it because many people are really reaching out for natural medicines these days, and including, traditional conventional medicine doctors. Many of them are getting more integrative, which I love because they're realizing what can be and how they can incorporate it in their practice. But if you are really working these oils into the spine in a certain way, it can have a great effect on your body. So that's a big part of it. And that's exactly, to your story, to your point, is many times, even if it's not directly, spinal cord related, you are still helping your body because, like I said, this is feeding your nervous system, and your nervous system is like little messengers out to the rest of your body. So what an impact you can make on something that is either maybe just acute, some just one-time pain or inflammation that you're having, or something more chronic, which can be quite serious.
Yeah, I want to show everybody your picture. I uploaded it on here. I want to show them. You're going to be 48 pretty soon?
Yeah, I
know,
you don't.
Right? No, you're not.
I love plant medicine.
Yes.
One of the things, you take care of your skin, skin is a telltale sign of, good things and bad things. and it really is like if things are starting to come out through your skin, then there is inflammation, and it's your body's way of trying to rid itself of toxins. So I've been pretty passionate since my mid-20s to take care of my skin as well, and so I'm really grateful for my health. Fortunately, there's a lot of illness in my family, directly with my direct family, and siblings and parents, and also to cousins and aunts and uncles and all. So I think it's made me more mindful to be well. it's made me more passionate to, I really want it to stay well. And I joke with my daughter, I tell her I'm going to be 100 years old, and I'm going to be really well, and, having a good spine and walking, just erect versus stooped and all that. I tell her I'm going to do that. And she said, well, Mom, 93 is just fine. Really, 93? But I really, there's things we have to do to take care of our body to do that. And sometimes things come around and, we think we're doing well, and then boom, something happens and we go to the doctor, we get diagnosed with something. But there are still ways to work on things naturally even with that. So I do really encourage people to research a lot and figure out what you want to do for your own body. Don't let somebody tell you what you must do. It's your body.
Right. Right. So is there an essential oil out there that can reverse some of the bad habits that we had when we were younger?
I know, right?
Right.
It's funny because I'll tell you what, there's emotional aspect to every single oil.
Yes.
So that part is fascinating to me, and I continue to learn about that. So as you ask about that, there's an oil called white fir, and it's known as the oil of generational healing.
Oh, nice.
So the way you would use white fir is diffusing it often and using it topically. You can put it, on your solar plexus, and there's a lot of relation to using oils with your chakras and opening the chakras and having them, rotating them in the right direction and all. Bottom of the feet, that's where all the nerve endings are for the body. So you would definitely want to use on the bottom of the feet. It also happens to be where the largest pores are. So that's a great way to use the oil. So you wouldn't think that. You're like, why would I use it on the bottom of my feet when I'm trying to work on things in my head, getting rid of this, generational patterns that just keep sticking with me. But there's a really good book called Emotions and Essential Oils, and I use this a lot to reference, but white fir basically will help with the negative feelings that are generational or hereditary, and if you're burdened by any of those issues. So the positive feeling that it can give you is giving you a feeling of freeness from that, generational healing, healthy patterns, creating new pathways, and spiritual protection. So that's a really good oil to work with. And sometimes it's good to have a sequence. So you could start with this white fir, and after a couple of weeks, don't be surprised, you may have some kind of a breakthrough.
Right.
When my mom passed away a couple of years ago, a few months after, I decided to work with white fir a little bit. And day after day went by, I wasn't really feeling any different. And all of a sudden, it was like day 10 or something like that, I was like a zombie all day. And people who know me, I am pretty energetic. So for me to all of a sudden be kind of lifeless and inward thinking, that's just how I was for like 24 hours. It was the craziest thing. I was very reflective and really realized, okay, I think there's some healing going on here.
Oh, yeah. It's called going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So that's what they say often. It's like you'll hit this wall, and it did come. The day before, I was fine. But all of a sudden, I hit that. And then, sometimes it's time to move on to the next oil, which could be something like cypress or maybe a geranium, which is heart healing. So there's definitely some great emotional aspects with the oils, and I very wholeheartedly believe that anything going on in our body, we also have to address the emotional aspect too. So.
Wow. Have you ever heard of Bach flowers?
Yes, the flower essences. I do have several of those. I enjoy those as well. And sometimes for emotions, I will help people make up a mix for themselves, and they'll have their own bottle, and I'll teach them how to use that. But I do like the flower essences for certain cases. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one time. I was fasting for 30 days. Now, I drank water, It wasn't complete fast. I drank water during those 30 days, and I was given Bach flowers and essential oils. And the emotional crap that came up in that 30-day period was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
It is. It's amazing what can be released, and even just giving yourself time to heal, that alone, you're opening up the door, to allow these things to work and do what they're meant to do. But you have to open that door first, and if you're not ready, then you're not ready, and wait for a time that you truly want to work on something.
Oh, somebody said they would have sent me a care package if they knew I was not eating. I chose not to eat for 30 days. Have you ever done a fast?
I have not done a fast like that ever. I am from a family who enjoys their food and eating. So I have, I've fought my whole life with the reverse issue of really, there's a lot of addictions in the world. Mm-hmm. And I feel like food was always around our table, and lots of not so healthy foods too.
Right.
So that's something I really have to make sure I work on my whole life is, healthy eating, and trying not to feed my body, junk and devitalized food. I think we all fight that, but when there's an emotional aspect, that's even harder. And I feel like often the way I was brought up and all, there is, there's an emotional aspect too. Food was there in plenty.
And it was medicine. I used
I think that might have been it. Yeah.
Exactly. Comfort. It was comforting, whenever I wasn't having to get something to eat, go in there and just eat and gouge.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, fortunately, many people are talking about it more, which is, in my opinion, very healthy, because the more we talk to others, we find tools from each other of what might help us, And so not eating and fasting, that's not on my list. but eating more mindfully is, But I've done a lot of different cleansing and detoxing and things like that, absolutely, because your body, I think it's important to do that regularly. But, there's the people say, what does regularly mean? Once a year for sure, I think is very important to do some type of cleanse, like spring cleaning your body.
Right.
But really, I think quarterly is, to me, the best bet because of the standard American diet that's around us. Our bodies are being, put, it doesn't matter how healthy you try to eat. The soil is not what it was 400 years ago.
No.
So we really, that's why I think another reason why cleansing is very important, and doing it in a healthy way, not putting your body through too much shock and trauma, in my opinion. So that's,
I agree with you. Yeah. Nobody should do the 30-day fast. I was talked into it. I told I was having this spiritual moment with doing it. All I did was cry for 30 days,
Oh.
So,
did you feel better afterwards?
Oh, God, when I got to eat, you better believe I did.
There are a lot of spiritual reasons. I respect that wholeheartedly. If somebody's doing something for a spiritual reason or for their religion, absolutely, that should be protected and respected within that person. So, and that goes back to people should really do what they want to do. And one thing I probably say it too much, but I think it can't be said enough, is people should really consult a lot of people they admire and want to learn from, but then they make their own decision for their own body. And that's what we need to do from now on, instead of always, well, I did it because so-and-so said, or because, this person said that. Well, of course that's why I did it. And I said, well, did you think about it yourself? Did you think about it, or you didn't? You just immediately did what they said.
I did it.
Yeah. And I think we've been conditioned like that. And, I'm kind of on a mission to reverse that, because that's not what was meant to be. I think that we're all very intelligent people, and there's so much research and resources out there now, more than ever. We have things at our fingertips, but we have to weed through. I do get a lot of people saying, well, I read this blog post on this, and I follow this blogger, or somebody wrote a book on this and that. And that's great, but always remember that's that person's own opinion, you know. And is there research to back up? Well, is the research valid research too? Because sometimes the study is done and there's only 3 participants in the study. Well, what kind of research is that? You know, is it valid or not? It might be something to look at, to take into account, but, you know, you shouldn't make a decision based on one person's opinion. You know, I want people to keep looking out there and researching and deciding for their own bodies what they want to do. And some of it is experimentation, like what you had done with the fasting. Like, you know, try something out and then really pay attention to how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not feeling well over time, then maybe you tweak it, you know, and you work on different things to kind of refine it to where you're actually feeling better.
Right.
And that could be.
You would get along with Jenny Satori, the creator of this network that we're on tonight, because she's got the same philosophy as you do. It's about, that's their opinion. You don't have to take it as gospel. And I just want to try everything out that comes down the pike. Like, if you tell me something, I'm going to try it. I can't help myself.
Yep. And I'll try a lot of things because I'm so curious. But I want people to know, like, don't then say, well, you told me to do this and it didn't work. And you're like, well, tell me how you did it, first of all. And a lot of times you find out they didn't really do it the way you said. But again, you know, just be mindful. Be mindful of what you're choosing to take into your life and why you're doing something. And it could be the best thing you ever did, you know. You'd be like, God, I'm so glad that I really listened to that person and I asked more questions of that person because it totally resonated with me and I felt like I needed to do it. Sure enough, I did this and I feel so much better, or I'm on the right path now, or whatever it is. So you kind of have to, everyone needs to start opening up their mind and trust their intuition too, and start reading their guidance that's within, because it's there. It's just that the switch was turned off for a while sometimes.
Right.
You know?
Now, you mentioned earlier that a quarterly detox is pretty good to do. Do you have that with essential oils?
Yes, you can do some things with essential oils, but it must be paired with eating and drinking water or something like that. So there's a lot of different things. There's juice cleanses, and there are different oils to really help cleanse, you know, things that will help cleanse the liver, for instance, because really the liver is so important. If things are, you know, maybe manifesting through the skin, well, maybe it's because the liver is kind of congested and needs a little jump start, you know, or needs to be cleansed, or it's not working very well. So it could be an organ that's not working well, and that's why I like doing cleanses. But that means during the cleanse, you know, a lot of people will buy all of these pills, and, you know, they're telling me they're taking all these pills, but they're eating the same way they always did.
Right.
Well, that's not that good. And, you know, I said, don't get those things if you're not also planning on eating differently during the time, because then you're kind of wasting your money. You know, if you're going to eat regular or processed food or, you know, devitalized food, things like that, and be, you know, taking capsules multiple times a day and drinking a lot of water, maybe that was, you know, what somebody told you to do. In my opinion, I think you've got to pair it with an extremely healthy nutritional plan, you know. And also, it's a great time to take extra time for self-care, because how do you know if something's working if you're not maybe having like a gentle yoga practice every day with this, or, you know, doing some things a little different, or maybe some meditation and reflection and journaling, things like that. So I always tell people to plan for their cleanse like a month before. And I'm really serious about that, because people will jump in quickly and say, that's it, I'm so sick of myself, I'm going to start tomorrow, right?
Right.
You know, you're like, I'm sick of it, I'm starting tomorrow. Well, there was no thought that went into it. Instead, it was a decision you made out of, like, beating up yourself, really. It's that negative self-talk, and especially women especially do this very much, but men do too, is a negative self-talk. And if the decision was made based on that, how successful is it really going to be then?
No.
you know?
Mm-mm.
So I think I know when I say a month planning, this way you have time to wrap your head around the whole thing. You have time to plan your food, get rid of the stuff that's in your house, you know, whatever it is, start really figuring out how do I want to eat? What kind of food plan do I want to pair up with this? And what am I going to do for exercise, knowing that maybe I won't have so much energy the first few days?
Right.
You know, am I going to make sure I'm not traveling during that time? Because that's, you know, sabotaging yourself if you're trying to have vacation and cleansing at the same time. That's not a good recipe. So yeah, planning and then also sharing that what you're doing with trusted people.
Right.
And I say trusted because there's a lot of times people will tell people hoping to recruit them, you know, because all of a sudden you want to help others too, so let's do this together. And before you know it, you recruited the wrong person. They really didn't want to do what you were doing, but they said yes to satisfy you. They go off it, and now you're off of it, you know. So it's like you need to share with people who are trusted and knowing that they're going to support you in your goal, not sabotage it.
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes it's actually our closest friends and family that are the ones that we shouldn't share that with. You know.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, cleanse is not, you know, that's why I love the essential oils, but never will I tell somebody that an essential oil is going to fix everything. It is,
right.
It's a lifestyle approach, absolutely. I love talking to people about that, you know, just everything about life, and I continue to work hard on it myself. It's not something that comes easy to very many people at all, you know. It's just we like to live our life. Most people enjoy food. We like to go out together and break bread around the table and enjoy. And everyone can still do that. It's just that we need to try to eat most of the time well so that we can enjoy those times even more, you know.
Yes.
We don't want to strive for perfection because that drives somebody crazy and too much.
Yes, true. And also, though, in this movement, especially here in St. Petersburg where we live, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but there's a lot of healthy food choices now for going out and breaking bread with people.
Yes, I love it. I love St.
Right?
Pete.
It's about time.
I'm telling you. I could go on and on. Central Avenue, I live in the North Kenwood area.
Yes.
And Central Avenue is just bursting. 4th Ave North, or 4th Street North is bursting. And I'm loving the fact that it's a lot of local places too versus chains. And I know, there's some good chains out there too, but I do enjoy supporting local when I can, So.
Yes. 4th Street has there's some great places on 4th Street now too, anywhere from, 22nd Ave all the way down to 94th. There's this place called Fresh Kitchen. Have you been to that?
Yes.
That is
wild.
I love it.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And I think that's the big rave, right? Everybody is going there and really enjoys it. But, there's one place after the next. So nowadays, and, not too long ago, I actually made up an index card to put in my purse so that just, again, another kind of mindfulness exercise of local places. If I'm out and about and I'm just really hungry, I'm out longer than I expected to be, and I need to pick something up, where can I go to make sure it's a healthy choice,
Right.
So I actually wrote it on an index card, and I have that in my purse now. So that's just there's a lot of options. When you start writing, you're realizing, wow, what a great city we live in. There's a lot of options.
I know. Somebody should create an app for our smartphones that you need a healthy choice option restaurant to go to. There it is.
Yep. But even some of the grocery stores, popping into Rolling Oats and just grabbing something. And we're very fortunate. We have a lot of options here. So the more we, patronize those, the better they will do as their businesses as well. And I think we'll just see more of it,
Right. What
so
about
really
people
like
that don't have those kind of options around them and they're out and about? What do you say to them?
That's the harder part, and that's where they've got to prepare their like go bag, you know. So what I mean by that is they need to have a bag with them or stuff in their purse at all times. And there's a lot of great things that you can, you know, again, the internet is wonderful. I'm a big fan of Zora bars, and basically that is, I do eat meat, but I make sure I try to buy clean meat as much as possible. So probably about 90%. I do buy a lot from a local food co-op run by Marcy Mendez, but there's some things I purchase online because it's a, you know, beef jerky and I want to make sure it's grass-fed and all that kind of stuff, no antibiotics and hormones and all of that. So having those kind of things in your purse and having some, you know, raw nuts so that you have a healthy fat too. So if you pair a protein with a healthy fat, you're going to be satiated. So that now you're feeling full and feeling okay. It's when we become very hungry that our mind goes berserk and we are ready to pull in whatever drive-through is next, you know.
Exactly.
So that's what we want to try to avoid. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
and drinking like, you know, for essential oils, I often will have like lemon essential oil in my water or grapefruit because these help. They help cleanse. They help with a lot of things. They help cleanse very mildly, which is nice. It helps bring out petrochemicals from our body, but also it has the ability to be a little bit of a natural appetite suppressant so that we're okay until we do get home and have something healthy or wherever we're going. So having those essential oils in our water. Now, the only thing, now remember how I said early on, the oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than the plant itself.
Right.
So what that means now is we want to make sure that our water is in glass or stainless steel. Never use plastic because we don't want, you know, if you put that essential oil with water in a plastic bottle, it's going to start breaking down the plastic, and before you know it, you're drinking that, and you don't want to do that. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, those are little things, you know, the person who is in a more rural area or in a city that just doesn't have a lot of options, you have to be much better about preparing and planning and having a bag with you of some things all the time. And that way, you know, helping you just eat, you know, healthier so that we only have one body this lifetime.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So one of the detoxes that I'm really concerned with, and I think it's a big one for everybody, it's like a good one to start with, is a liver detox.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you recommend that they do for a liver detox?
Well, we have, I know we have a blend with there's some very good oils in there, and lemon happens to be a really good oil used with that. Anything that's going to stimulate too. So we want to have an herb that's going to have a stimulating action. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times it needs to be like a synergistic blend, really.
Okay.
And, you know, so I can't really say there's exactly one oil for this. We would really have multiple oils for the liver. So I know with the company I use, there's a great blend, and it's called Zendocrine, and it has various oils for that. But helichrysum is very good. Helichrysum is very good for detoxification in general, but particularly for the liver, and that is a single oil. It's very has a lot of regeneration properties to it. Then clove, you've probably, a lot of people have heard of clove for a lot of reasons. Clove is also very good. Now, it's a hot oil, so you'd want to make sure you dilute that. You would never, just take that directly or anything like that. That has a huge, antioxidant protection. So,
right.
That's why I say, sometimes you wouldn't want to just take one oil. So what you asked is kind of a loaded question because there's a lot of oils.
I know.
that we would want to make sure that are used, because all of a sudden the synergy takes over. So if you were to put a few single oils together, I like the idea of helichrysum, clove, myrrh. Myrrh is very good.
Yes.
Yeah, helps with any kind of inflammation going on, maybe some scar tissue buildup, things like that. And then geranium is the last one I would, basically mention for the liver. It can really help detoxify and like with the fat in the liver, any kind of damaged liver tissue. So it has some abilities there with that. So I like those oils personally. And then again, with the company, there's actually a blend that you would use, and you would just use that one blend. And you'd use it topically and internally, and then also you can use it aromatically. But I like topically and internally the best when it comes to more of a detox or cleanse.
So what is the company that you get your oils from?
I only use doTerra oil, and I did do a lot of research. I, kind of narrowed it down to a few companies and then started contacting them separately. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely decided on doTerra. And now a few years later, I couldn't be more happier. They have been much more than what I expected, because now I've not only had that much more experience in seeing people use them, mm-hmm. and seeing, a lot of people having some great positive, changes with what they're working on, but I myself as well. And the other thing that's been interesting, never did I think that I would learn so much about like the heart of a company and what they do. Prior to using the essential oils, I would look for like herbal companies that were big on, sustainable agriculture and giving back to communities on all of that. Well, right. When I found doTerra, they do that like to the hilt. They really work with the growers directly. They cut out the middleman. They do not work with the middleman when they're sourcing their oils, and they teach the growers to form cooperatives amongst themselves, and they make sure that they're getting fair pay monthly mm-hmm. versus just when it's harvest time, things like that. But on top of that, they'll identify a need in that community and actually fill that need. They have a foundation to set up, and it's called Healing Hands Foundation, and 100% of the money donated there goes to these communities that are in need. And some of the communities are here in the U.S. too, so this is not just overseas. And right. I like that too, because we want to see that our own people are taken care of as well. But I did fortunate to go on an expedition with doTerra and with Choice Humanitarian, and that was down in Guatemala, and I learned firsthand about this co-impact sourcing and what they do. So we were there and helping the village build a boarding school. And what was going on there, in Guatemala, we were about 10-hour drive from Guatemala City in a region called the Polochic region, and this is where we get our cardamom essential oil, which is great for respiratory health and great for digestive system. So I really like that oil, but that's what was being grown down there. Well, these people in this region are living on like $1 a day. And we can't even think about that. We're like, wow, how do people do that? And there was even a documentary made by another, I don't know what film production company or anything made this, but I did watch it, called $1 a Day. And it was about just people in general in Guatemala, in the countryside and hillside. So wow. Ironically, I went down there shortly after I saw this documentary, but with doTerra, and what doTerra is doing with Choice Humanitarian in the village where we grow and harvest the cardamom is trying to help teach them skills so that they can better their life. Well, what was happening was by teaching them masonry skills and carpentry skills and teaching the women how to make crafts to sell and things like that, the men that were learning the masonry skills, they were walking up to 3 hours one way just to get there to class to learn.
Wow.
Just to learn how and do, they were, building and all of that. Well, they were getting sick very quickly. So what doTerra decided to do was help build a boarding school so that when they're there, they can be there Monday through Friday, the people that were walking so far, and they can actually just be there, and then they can go home on the weekend with their families. So when I was there, we were working with them on this boarding school to get it up and running, and we got to communicate with them. And the guys that were there, the age ranged anywhere from, I think 16 was the youngest, but 47 was the oldest. And
wow.
tears in their eyes, saying that they're so grateful they get to learn these skills, because generations to come, they want their future children to be in a better position than they are. This is their sacrificing for their future generations. And it's like, we can't, it's just amazing. So doTerra's in there helping with this,
Right, and two, those people are very giving. I mean, they're living on $1 a day, but they'll give you a shirt off of their back, or a banana that you're eating, or anything. I know, right?
It's amazing. So I was so grateful to experience that and be around these people. And the other thing doTerra was doing there is teaching the midwives how to use the oils safely and effectively, because really nobody goes to see a doctor there. They're way out in the village, and they don't trust doctors from the Western.
Right.
They don't trust them because, they feel like they're always going to give them a needle or something like that. So they only trust their midwives. And so they're teaching them different ways, and the smiles on these midwives' faces, they're just like, wow, this stuff is working, and I get to use plants for this and that and the other thing. So that was really just so interesting. So I love, this is something I did not expect when choosing this company, is that I would just really fall in love with the heart and the culture of this company too. So it made a difference in my life and makes me want to give back more and more and more. So that's something, my own personal goal is to be able to really help people who want to have natural solutions but can't afford them, to be able to, over time, be able to give them things and give them what they need. And whether it's forming my own nonprofit or working with an existing one, that's really what I want to be able to do more of. Because there's just a lot of people who do want to do natural, but they just can't afford it. And I want them to be able to.
Well, I truly, I'm going to clap for you. Yay, because that's a good idea. And so it be. It's all going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
it will.
Yes, it will. Awesome.
I will affirm it.
I have a friend that's been hanging on the phone. I want to make sure she doesn't have a question for you, so I'm going to open up the phone line and ask her real quick.
Okay.
Hi, Diana. Diana, are you there? Hello, Diana. I guess she's just listening.
Maybe
or she's on mute or something. I don't know. Or maybe she's not here. Yeah. Okay, I'll just
maybe
her back.
She's cooking dinner in her kitchen and listening.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, for people that are just getting into essential oils, and of course you said for the quality of what you want to get into, what's the next thing that you tell them about it, getting started with this? Is like a certain, like a generic, like a certain, like maybe there's 5 kinds they should start off with, or do you ask them what their issues are first or something?
Yeah, actually, the latter part of what you just say, the next thing is really a question. What are your health concerns or health goals? What do you want to work on? Because, I could talk all day long, but never address what their concern was. So really it's, yes, explaining first about where I'm coming from, because that's going to indicate whether it's a good match for us or not, too.
Right.
I tell them what's been important to me about why I chose these oils and what my beliefs are. But now, what do you want to work on? And am I the right person you want to work on it with? Do you want me to be that person to educate you about the oils? Or maybe I'm not, and that's okay. It's not a one-size-fits-all, that's for sure. And there's a lot of people educating on the oils out there, but definitely getting somebody to help you. That's the key. But absolutely, my next question is, what do you want to work on? And you would be amazed at the answers. It's not necessarily for them. So many people, I'm so amazed and grateful every day because a lot of people think of others first. And,
Yes.
you know, and I'm like, wow, this is so powerful. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know. So when I ask that question, many are answering that way. Well, I want to help so-and-so, and, you know, or my child or my grandma or my uncle or my sister. That's what they say to me first. So then that's what we tackle is like, okay, well, let me show you the resources, and this is how we would start looking up and determining what to use and making sure we get the right oils that you're going to use, because the last thing I want is for somebody to have unopened bottles. And a little over 20 years ago, I bought my first essential oil at a health food store, and it happened to be tea tree oil. Well, do you know, I don't even remember what I used it for, but it just sat in my cabinet because nobody came home with me to teach me how to use it.
Right.
You know, I didn't know what to do with it. And that sat there for the longest time. So, you know, having that person, that key person to work with you is so beneficial. But yeah, just really starting that path. And sometimes it really is working on one health goal first. Sometimes it's 3. You know, it just depends on what it is and, you know, how hard of a nut is it to crack. In other words, if it's something major, then we need to stick with that for a little while and see some results, you know, have them feeling better, whatever it happens to be, and then you can move on to the next thing. Now, some people just generally want to be more preventative. So then, of course, I do have kind of a set standard of, I think that these particular oils you would use the heck out of. You know, this is what I would go with. And I will teach you how to take them out of the bottles, make them into sprayers and rollers, and, you know, transition things within your household. A lot of people love getting rid of their cleaners. You know, they don't want to purchase certain brands anymore. They want to go with all natural cleaners.
Right.
So I teach them how to make their own cleaning caddy for pennies. You know, I had somebody who that's how she contacted me. It was no health concern except to reduce the toxic load in her house. And what I mean by that is she wanted to start with, I want to make natural cleaners. That's it. I don't want to concentrate on anything else. Just show me how to make my cleaning caddy. And that's what we did. And that was actually somebody up in the north, in the northeast U.S. They do work with people all over the U.S. and then a few in Canada. So we just, you know, fortunately with technology these days, you can easily get on Zoom or Skype and see each other, you know.
Oh,
so that works out really very, very well. But yeah, asking that one important question is, where would you like to start? What would you like to work on? Will open that doorway to making sure you're addressing, you know, their needs and what they want to do. And then we just go from there. And really a big part is getting them out of the bottles. Because if you leave them in the bottles, people are not necessarily as apt to use them because they might be afraid of them. They get them and they're like, she told me they were so pure and potent, now I don't know what to do with them, you know. So that's why, again, people get their oils and then we make an appointment and I sit down with them, take them out of the bottles. We start putting them in a practical form for them to use, and we go over them. So that's what I love. It's really the teaching part. If you probably can't tell, I just totally thrive off of that. So
that is absolutely amazing. So the natural products. Do you know how to make like laundry soap too? You know,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's things for your laundry. Even, simple thing here, dryer sheets. Dryer sheets are so full of really toxic things. And, even like it'll say a fragrance on it. Well, that fragrance is completely synthetic. And many times people in their own household are having problems with skin issues, breathing issues, and it could be the dryer sheet. That's how crazy dryer sheets unfortunately are for many people. So all of a sudden, if I could teach them how to make a wool dryer ball, which is just getting a skein of wool yarn and making that, now all of a sudden they use those wool dryer balls in their dryer and they put a few drops of essential oil to keep it like antibacterial and just, antiseptic and keeping things smelling fresh, things like that. So I love to tear that up, and that takes care of the dryer. Making your, laundry detergent, making your dish detergent, making, toilet bowl cleaner and bath, a soap scrub, kind of thing with some baking soda and white vinegar and essential oils. Certain oils like lemon is very much a degreaser. So that's great for your dish detergent if you're washing up your dishes. So different things like that with Castile soap. So lots of options there, and really not many ingredients. Typically you can, just get Castile soap, baking soda, and white vinegar along with just a couple essential oils, and you've made your whole cleaning caddy. And boy, is that a lot better. And having your kids, like my daughter helps me clean. She's 13. She's been helping me clean for a long time, and don't I feel better that she's not breathing all that other stuff.
Yes.
I love, I know that she's safe cleaning.
Yes.
And so that's a big deal. What we breathe in, reducing our toxic load in the environment is a big deal, and we need to pay attention to that more, because sometimes people are eating right, but then when I have that discussion with them, well, what kind of cleaners are you using and what do you have in your household? They just didn't know. You don't know till you know.
Right.
Like I said, I was brought up in a conventional home. I didn't know anything about this stuff until I started researching. People should never feel bad if they don't know, they didn't realize how harmful something was, because you just didn't know, and that's all right. But once you do know, are you going to take action?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I can remember the first time I used bleach and ammonia at the same time cleaning a shower. I never did that again.
Yep. Oh, my God. Yeah.
I took action never to do that again.
Never again, yeah.
Ever.
And that's a lot of times we do stuff, we're like, oh, boy, we shouldn't have done that.
Oh, my God.
That's all right, we learned.
Poison gas is what I created.
Oh, God, yeah. And then you're breathing it in. There's so many harmful things out there for us, and we just need to be more aware. And again, what's great, I love in our community, and more people are talking about it. So I am finding so many people just so hungry for more knowledge, and I love that. I think it's wonderful.
I do too, and that's why we do this show, is to give back to everybody. We have different people like yourself or whatever on here, so that they can learn or comment and let them just share. That's what we're here to do, is to share with each other and stuff. So
thank you for doing that, because that's huge for our society. So that's a huge thing. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on tonight. I'm enjoying this. I'm loving everything here,
Good.
It's very informative. So not only can we use essential health to improve our health, essential oils to improve our health, we can also use it for our cleaners to release some of the toxic load that we have in our house.
Yep. And a lot of people get into other things too. Like I do a lot of classes in the area, so I have a lot of free classes, and one of them that I just put on the calendar for September 28th is a natural makeup class. So people can come in and they can make, their a different natural makeup. But think about that too, is even just the things we put on our skin that we're not even really thinking is toxic can be toxic.
Yes.
So just learning, like in a face powder, well, you could just use arrowroot powder, and you can tint it with like cocoa powder, cinnamon, and nutmeg to get, whatever, to get that right tint. Right. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't have to use, something that was very expensive and toxic, or making your own mascara with activated charcoal, so things like that. So that's going to be a really fun class, because it'll be an eye-opener to a lot of people. Many people are trying to buy natural makeup, which is great, but then realizing the ingredients by making it yourself is even more empowering. You're like, wow, I can do this. I got this stuff in my kitchen right now, So that's
So
really
what about skincare then? Because some of that stuff that you can buy is toxic for your skin.
Yeah. Because a lot of things say the word natural on there, and that unfortunately doesn't mean anything these days. We have to learn a whole new language, right? Don't we? It's hard to know, and just like, purchasing eggs, are they pastured? Are they cage-free? What does that mean? Right. You find out that certain things don't really mean much of anything.
Right.
And just like the word natural. So the natural means really not much of anything. But for skincare, it is important to try to use products that allow your skin to breathe. So I think the most important thing is to stay away from the petroleum-based products, because that does not let our skin breathe. So first and foremost. But yeah, there's recipes, even in that book that I mentioned, the complete book of essential oils and aromatherapy. They've got great recipes for hair care, skin care, facial masks. And I guarantee you that, one or two of the ingredients you probably already have in your house. For instance, like if it's a hair rinse or something, you would use apple cider vinegar for that with water, and then add one more ingredient like lemon essential oil or something like that. So many times you're realizing, wow, I got that in my kitchen, and then you only have to get a few more ingredients. So it's nice to know that you can make something with just a few simple ingredients rather than purchasing something and you look on the back of that, you can't even pronounce most of the stuff that's on there. You have no idea what that is. Is it an acid? Is it a harsh alcohol? Is it, what is in the stuff we're purchasing?
Okay,
so there's some really good skincare recipes as well.
Awesome. And I put your website on here. They can click on the link and go to your website, and they can contact you directly for that type of thing. But let's talk about sunscreen and mosquito repellents.
Yeah. So that's the mosquito repellent can be difficult. What we find is a lot of different oils are better than working with one or two. So traditionally, catnip essential oil, lemongrass essential oil, any kind of the cedar family, like cedar wood, arbor vitae, those kind of oils are going to be good for an insect repellent. But it's when they all come together that's actually much better. Because we do have a lot of bugs here, and when I went down to Guatemala, I was making sure I had a really good formula because that's serious territory down there.
Amen.
So, yeah. But the key is getting a good formula, and I like using arbor vitae and nutka and cedarwood and lemongrass, catnip, those kind of oils together. And then I put it with some witch hazel, and I put it in a spray. Now, the key also is using it often. You can't just put it on. There's no such thing as a 24-hour, insect repellent that's natural. You cannot just put it on once and not have to put it on for the rest of the day. So you do need to apply, 3 to 4 hours later and reapply. And particularly what we call the entry point, so around the ankles, around the wrists, around the neck, and around the head area. That tends to be where most people the bugs are coming to first, the entry point. Whether you have shorts or pants on, even if you don't have pants on and you actually have shorts, you're still actually making sure your ankles are well covered, But isn't it better, to be able to just use these essential oils with witch hazel, that is so much better than what's out there because these things are so harmful. They're affecting our nervous system.
Oh, yes.
DEET is just no joke, and if you don't know about DEET, people that are listening or that listen to this, they can look it up and just Google it, and you'll be astounded. You'll be very frightened. So definitely look into what you may be using because, sometimes I hear people say, well, I'm going to use it up and then switch. Well, by using it up, it might not make the most sense sometimes, just switch. So I really like the insect repellents. What was the other question you asked me about? Sunscreen?
Sun care. We're going to go to the beach, and we're going to hang out at the beach, right? And it's blazing sun. But I don't. I want to get a little sun, but I don't want to burn.
Right. So this is another thing where you're applying often. And when you're in the sun, I do think that zinc oxide is important because that's more of a blocker. So you're really going to need to use something with a zinc oxide. But that's a mineral, you know. Now, the only thing about the zinc oxide that I don't like is that your skin doesn't really breathe. So once you come in from outside the sun, just make sure you take a shower pretty soon thereafter so that your skin can breathe again. That's all. But there's certain carrier oils, which a carrier oil is not an essential oil, but rather just another oil. So things like avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, almond oil, those are all called carrier oils. They are not potent, you know, things like essential oils at all. They are not in that category of 50 to 70 times, you know, more potent than the plant. So So what we use is a couple of really good carrier oils, and you can make up your own sunscreen. And I just had a class last week where people joined me in my kitchen, and I showed them how to do this actually. And I used some coconut oil, and I used some shea butter, and I actually used some avocado oil. All of those naturally have some SPF, which is so cool to me. I think that's awesome. Now, it's not a big number. It's anywhere from like 5 to 8 SPF. But then all of a sudden, you put in things like carrot seed oil. Carrot seed oil is they're all ranges because, of course, plants can't be standardized. So when I give you ranges, that's why. Like the one plant can't be grown exactly the same the next time. So that's why there's always going to be a range. But carrot seed oil will range anywhere from like 28 to 35 SPF. So that's a really good one. Yeah. And raspberry seed oil is a great one. Lavender essential oil has some great SPF, and so does sandalwood and helichrysum. And you notice I mentioned that helichrysum earlier for that liver, detox one. Helichrysum is a pricier oil, whereas lavender is very, very affordable.
So is myrrh, though, too, isn't lavender.
It? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Myrrh is expensive.
Myrrh is also, I love myrrh for skin. There's certain oils that are just beautiful for the skin and date back to the Egyptians and a lot of historical literature of using like frankincense and myrrh, and of course that's in the Bible too. But also sandalwood, cypresses. They've been around a very long time, thousands of years that these oils have been used. So there's something to that for sure.
Yes, there is.
Those oils, the lavender, helichrysum, and sandalwood are my favorites to add into your sunscreen. You don't necessarily need to use them all. You could just use lavender, but making sure you pair that with melting it with the shea butter, the coconut oil, a little bit of avocado. And then what I like to do is put a little beeswax in there to set it up. And then that way I have kind of a little bit more of a salve to put on. But you can certainly just make an oil of it and just have it as an oil, you know.
Okay, so beeswax, will that allow your skin to breathe?
I like to put a little bit of it. And I actually purchased my beeswax from Mountain Rose Herbs, which is a great company. I get some things from that because this way they're capturing the beeswax from bees that are not, around, an acreage, because they could travel 5 miles when they go out and collect all the pollen and they come back home. So, making sure it's a clean source can be very, very difficult because if there's anybody spraying pesticides in 5 miles, well, then you can't really,
Right.
So Mountain Rose is really good about getting some really good clean beeswax. So that's actually where I purchased it from, to be as clean as possible. But you're right. There's some people who don't like to use beeswax at all because it has that tendency where it's not breathing very well. But for that, I make one with the zinc oxide and the beeswax for the one that you're going to be out in the sun, period. So you need to have good coverage.
Right.
Then I also have one that is actually just the oil, the carrier oil with lavender essential oil, and that would be more of like a daily SPF for me of when I'm in and out, just in and out, and I'm not actually going to be outside for a long period of time where the sun's beating on me.
Right.
So that's how I usually recommend to people is have two versions, because there's a lot of days you don't need the hardcore sunscreen. You don't need that, and then you can let your skin breathe better.
That is amazing. That I didn't realize, when I started doing essential oils 17 years ago, I didn't realize how many valuable properties that it has and all that you can do with it and everything. I knew that oils had vibrations, certain energy frequencies. I know that. And you can just rub it on and you get healing powers just from rubbing it on, right? But what you're talking about is you're eliminating all chemical products that come into your household being normal and creating stuff with essential oils. I mean, that is great.
Yeah, I just love it. And it's just the possibilities are endless, and that's really my mission is to make people aware that they have choices. They have choices, and the possibilities are endless. Now it's up to you. What would you like to do? And maybe they don't want to do everything, because that's overwhelming, right? So you just kind of work on. That's why I usually work on one or two things first. And as they work on things, a lot of times they're just like, oh my God, I'm loving what's happening. Let's work on the next thing,
Right.
And
so speaking of your mosquito repellent that you mentioned earlier, I got somebody on here that wants to buy some that you mix up, and she's going to buy it from you.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
I mean, you can market that. Get that together, and we'll get it marketed and get it out of here, right?
Absolutely. That's right. Yep.
That is awesome.
I've got it. You just let me know.
Well,
Have
good.
them contact me.
I will, because she can't use the store-bought stuff. And then we have another question. She wants to know what you recommend for congestions from allergies.
Is it seasonal allergies or food allergies or something else?
Hold on. She can hear you. She'll type in here in a second.
Okay.
So, seasonal
allergies, okay. Because it does, allergies, there could be an allergy for anything, as most people are aware of. So it really depends. The seasonal allergies, I really love using 4 oils together. To me, it's very important to use these 4 oils because they're really just to support, a healthier response and to help with inflammation and all. So I like frankincense, lavender, lemon, and peppermint. Now, how would I use all those? There's 3 ways you can use oils. You can use them aromatically, right? Sometimes we'll put oils in our hands and just take like 10 long, deep breaths, because using them aromatically can affect, it goes in the olfactory bulb and affects change in our limbic system. So that's how they actually work that way. And that's the only way to affect change there is actually smelling things like that. So you can smell bad things, which can sometimes create a reaction, or you can smell healthy things that can bring about a healthy response. So those oils, I really like that, to breathe that in, or you can get a diffuser. I love diffusing. That's much easier. The next way is topically. And with this kind of response, I think it's absolutely necessary to put them on topically too. So this is where I actually teach people to make a roller bottle. And that's just like a clear glass bottle. And I usually use 10 ml roller bottles. And I'll put certain number of drops of each of those in the bottle. And then I'll purposely put some fractionated coconut oil in there, because you don't need it neat. You don't neat means straight. You don't dilute it with anything.
Right.
So I'll purposely put it with some fractionated coconut oil, and now I have a nice blend to use. Now, where would I use that topically? Definitely on the bottoms of the feet, right? Because if you know anything about reflexology, first of all, you want to cover the whole bottom of the foot. You just kind of roll some on, and then you massage it in. Take about 30 seconds just to massage it in really well. But the pads of the toes is representative of our sinuses. So a lot of people don't realize that, but you want to make sure you massage a little bit in the bottoms of the toes as well. So that the bottom of the feet is really important. I know that's far from where you might be feeling some kind of symptoms. You know, maybe you're having runny nose or itchy eyes and all. But it's really important to get those topically on the bottom of your feet. Another area is behind the neck, like where the brainstem is, up the back of the neck into the hairline,
right,
and behind the ears. Those are absorption points that are really great, that it will help to go into the bloodstream to help affect a positive change.
Right,
so
and your sinus cavities are there too, by the way. You do have sinus cavities back there.
That's right. I remember long ago when I was seeing a Chinese acupuncture, somebody local here actually, he taught me a lot of acupressure points for sinuses, and of course some of them are in the front of the face, but back there, there's a couple of sinus areas there that are great. And they'll be sore if you're having problems.
Right.
So you'll know you hit the right spot.
Yes.
But yeah, putting the oils back there. And then with whatever's kind of left on my hands, then I'll work around the front of my face. But I'll wait till after most of that is gone off of my hands, because there'll still be some on there. And we don't want to, you know, rub it too close to the eyes, because that would be very sensitive. But then all of a sudden you kind of give yourself a little massage on the forehead, on the cheekbone areas, around the temples, and that will really help. But you would want to, the key to any kind of natural solution is consistency, doing things often. So during a really, you know, obviously our time here in Florida in February, March, April is just awful for so many people. And they would need to use this topically 3 or 4 times a day just to try to maintain normalcy, you know. And then again, with the brand that I use, the doTerra, it has the supplement back panel on the back so that you can use it internal. Then I would actually, use some of that internally as well, but only like a drop of each. You don't need much of anything.
Right.
So that's what I personally would use to alleviate any problems that I would have. So I love, I'm glad, you know, that question came up, because it's one that affects a lot of people, not just here in Florida, but elsewhere around the country and around the world. And it's becoming worse, in my opinion, from a lot of things, from environmental toxins, the air that we're breathing, from things that we might be using like our household cleaners. It's just making our systems not good. So then we're more sensitive to everything. So I feel it's getting worse around the world, and there's a lot of reasons for it. And in the food we eat, you know, too. So
I know, it's a shame that we haven't adapted like the cockroaches, right?
I know, right?
Because they live through everything.
It's so funny. Yeah, I'm okay with them, you know. So a lot of people, they just want to get rid of them out of their house. So I'll tell them, like, try diffusing some eucalyptus or clove. Just keep that diffusing, keep them out of the area. There's a lot of oils that can keep, deter pests, basically. And
I heard orange oil is one of them.
Yep, you could, I like the clove and eucalyptus particularly for cockroaches, but if I see 1 or 2, I'm okay with it. You know, we all live in this world together. The first time, I'm not from here. I grew up in Pennsylvania in a rural area there, but when I moved down this way, I'm like, what is that? The bugs down here are huge.
Yeah. But then you got your German cockroach variety, which is the little bitty ones that multiply really quickly around here. So
yeah, I found out about those the hard way. I had a place that was I owned a home in Tampa that we used to rent, and some tenants moved out, and sure enough, they were German roaches, and I'm like, what is that? I didn't even know what that was, and they were everywhere. They had just taken over, so. Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, no, they're not good. So we had a comment earlier that they wish that they lived here so they could take classes, but you're looking into doing classes online, right?
Oh, yeah, we have online classes too. So definitely, if they're interested, just email me. It's Jennifer@theherbalcabinet.com so that I can send my online calendar. It's basically I click on the calendar and it's ever changing. I've got a lot of my associates and my team that that teach wonderful classes with me. I've been so fortunate to meet some beautiful people in this community that we've formed this essential oil community, and we all carry the same belief of just keep educating people, keep letting people know what's out there so everyone knows what their options are. So it's not just me teaching, but others as well, and we absolutely have online options for anyone around the world.
Exactly, and hopefully I'd love for you to come to this network and hang out with us and join up and stuff like that. Because the format, like right here in the center, I can change the pictures and stuff like that. Just that quickly, to show and stuff like that, and you can have as many people in here as you want. So that's another great thing too.
That's great. Oh, wonderful. Technology. I'm not a technology guru, but I'm trying to get there, little by little. It's not my forte. It's okay.
Well, the young lady that was asking you about allergies, she's the one that created this.
Oh, wonderful.
She's a genius. She's a genius.
It takes a village. We all have really good strengths, and that's what's great is if we play on our strengths. I know I read this one book one time. It's called Strength Builder or something like that. But basically, it means stop focusing on trying to get your weaknesses better. Just get better at what you're good at. And I love that. I think that's the best way because there's other people that are good at things that I'm not good at, and that's why we work together.
Oh, I know. So I just posted the link to your calendar on there.
Oh, great.
For
Thank
them.
You.
So they can click on that and see the calendar and see what classes you have coming up and stuff like that.
Terrific.
So
thank you.
I wish I had the time to go to your live classes. I see all that you post all the time, and I'm like, I want to go, but
that's all right. Someday it'll work out. And I know, there's a lot of stuff out there to attend and be part of, but we also, many of us are working our own businesses, so I have the same problem, honestly, is, a lot of times I don't get a chance to attend some other things that are going on in our community that are wonderful, but it's okay because we're all a big part of this bigger picture. We're all contributing to our community, and that's what's very important. So.
But I also know I can track you down at your house and get what I need,
too.
So.
You know where I am at.
I know where you're at.
Yep, that's right.
I'm more into the herbs than I am the oils, but I'm a firm believer of oils.
Too.
I'm a firm believer of the oils too. I have quite a bit of a collection that I've just got to finish up using before I go into the doTerra because I spent a fortune on those damn things.
Yeah,
but,
I know. Well, a lot of people use, both. An herb is an herb. Plant medicine is plant medicine, So many people that use the oils, they also, buy herbal teas from me, and there's a lot of options. And then there are some people who just want to use herbal tinctures and things like that. That's okay. It's all good.
Yes.
That's what I said. Whatever choice you make, I'm just happy that people are using a plant, based product, something that is actually natural, truly natural.
Yes.
So
yes.
I love
and you can use essential oils to grow plants too.
Yeah. There's this is what's really neat is, generally peppermint essential oil is one that can be used in the sprayer, the garden sprayer with water.
Right.
To help keep away pests and keep a vigorous growth of that plant. But there's also pairing up of different oils with a particular plant. For instance, basil essential oil would be good for tomatoes. So there's a lot of different studies on that as well, and I think it's so interesting how many ways you can use these oils.
Oh, God, yes. It is. Is there a garlic essential oil yet?
No. I know I've been asked that a lot, garlic essential oil. I think garlic is potent as it is. Can you imagine it?
I know, right?
I don't know if we're ready for that. I love garlic. It's great.
It is.
Really,
it's very healing. It's an awesome thing. But an oil, wow.
Yeah. Pair up garlic with an oregano essential oil, and boy, you got some good stuff there for knocking it out.
Right? That is so true. That is so true. So, I posted your website on here for people to get in touch with you, and there's a contact button on your website where they can get in touch with you and connect with you. It's posted everywhere else. It's called the herbalcabinet.com. I hope in the future that you'll come on again and we'll get to talk about herbs.
Absolutely. Anything you want to talk about, it as long as it's an herb.
Yeah.
Or nutrition. I was a nutritional herbalist before I became a master herbalist, and so food is something I talk about all the time because, like I said in the beginning, it's a lifestyle approach. So if somebody's out there, saying something, take this, do this one thing, and this will be what works. There is no magic bullet out there. And it's just, to me, I don't like when people say that is there's just one thing, because it's not usually just one thing. It's multiple things. So we have to be real.
Yes, it is. So, well, we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up because I just want to thank you so much. I know I'm going to have you on here again. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to share the beautiful things that essential oils can do for us.
Well, thank you. I'm honored that you have asked me to be on your show, and I really appreciate it. And the more of us that talk about options and what's out there, the better for all of us.
That is great. So again, if you guys want to get in touch with Jennifer, you can visit her on her website at theherbalcabinet.com. There's a contact button. You can put in a comment. She'll get back with you. And again, I sent there's a link on for the calendar on this program. If you're looking, it's the teamup.com. It'll give you the calendar if you are interested in taking any classes. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we end the show, Jennifer?
No, I think that's it. I've talked way too much.
Oh, no, you did a beautiful job. I love it. I love it because I was tired today, and I was like, I hope Jennifer can sure talk today because I'm not in the mood.
I can. So thanks to everyone out there for listening, and, whoever listens, just, I give you a lot of credit because you keep learning, and that's what's important, and I'll learn till I die. So welcome to my club of just learning more and more and more about natural health.
Yes. Thank you guys, everyone. Well, we're going to end the show tonight on that note. You guys have a wonderful week. I can't wait to see you again next Monday. And I'm sending y'all all my love and energy, except I need a little bit for myself, okay? Good night, everyone. Good night, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you.